When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious
Good evening, cadet agents, and welcome to MI6 Training School. Now, pay close attention. The name's Hughes, Mark Hughes, Agent 008, and tonight we'll be testing your knowledge on all things Agent 007. All his missions to get you ready for the eventuality when you're out on the field on Her Majesty's Secret Service. Earning your license to kill is no easy matter. The information contained in this quiz tonight is for your eyes only, and you'll have to show whether you have a golden eye for trivia, or if it'll be a Dr. No for us, and you'll have to die another day in the field. Your mission tonight is to see if you can get as many points as possible, to see if you're capable of 00 status, or if you'll fade away like a spectre. Good luck, candidate agents. Here's how we'll be administering tonight's test on all things James Bond. So, welcome to the Big Nerd James Bond quiz. If this is your first time, then you're very welcome. This is how you play it. There's two ways, either good old-fashioned pen and paper, or use the Google form in the link of the description. You can play as a team or individually, it's totally up to yourself. Open the Google link in the description of the YouTube video, enter your email address, and enter the multiple choice questions as they are asked. There are 8 rounds with 6 questions each, and there's only one correct answer per question unless otherwise stated. And I think there is a special round in the quiz tonight, so you have to play very close attention. Once the quiz is finished, simply hit submit. You'll get your scores at the end, but stick about to see the answers for the quiz at the end of the night. It's recommended that you stream the quiz on a laptop or television and play using the Google form on your phone or other device. Good luck and have some fun. You can communicate with us via all these different old-fashioned memes of Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. They're very public, of course. You can get in contact with us via dead drops on our various stations across the globe, but these are the best ways. And if you want to shout out at any point, get in touch via the Facebook or the Instagram or Twitter. Try my best to get as many shout outs as I can throughout the night. Share your picks. Make sure you keep them classified though, but share using BigNerdPubQuiz. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Big Nerd Pub Quiz. You can replay any of the previous episodes. And if this is your first time, then do check out the other quizzes that we've had. You can play them at any time. We've done Star Wars, Disney, football. We've done Star Trek. We've done Friends. We did Marvel DC. Tons and tons of quizzes out there. We do a general knowledge quiz every Saturday night at 8. A kids quiz every Tuesday at 2. And coming up this week on Wednesday, we've got the Big Nerd 2000s quiz. That's live on YouTube at 8 p.m. The Big Nerd 2000s quiz, testing your knowledge on everything between the year 2000 and 2009. There's the rest of the month's lineup. As you can see, we're on the James Bond quiz tonight. Horror quizzes next week, and we've got the Big Nerd Pokemon quiz and wrestling quiz all coming up. We'll be publishing July's lineup later on in the week, so you can check out what's coming up. Don't forget you can buy Big Nerd Pub Quiz merchandise. Supports the channel from nornirontees.com. Use the code BIGQUIZ for a 10% discount. And you can also support the quiz by donating to Patreon or PayPal. The quiz is always free to play. However, you can support the work that goes into making this quiz awesome by donating as little as £1 to PayPal or become a Patreon. The links are there, paypal.me/BigNerdPubQuiz or patreon.com/BigNerdPubQuiz. Thanks to everyone who's been supporting over the last couple of weeks. It's been absolutely fantastic. And do check out my Back to the 80s breakfast show every weekday on Zest FM. That's the online radio station, Zest FM. It's a load of fun. It's a lot of class 80s music. Well, hope you're all having a good evening. As you can see, I've done my tux for tonight. Sure, I couldn't have done this any other way. Yes, tonight's quiz, like I said before, 8 rounds, all about James Bond, past and present. Let's see how you get on tonight. So tonight's first round, as always, like we do, is all about general knowledge. So yes, tonight's first round, 6 questions, all about James Bond general knowledge. Let's see how much you know and get you started off tonight. Here's round 1, question number 1. Hope you've all got your forms ready, the Google Forms ready, or if you're playing by pen and paper, good luck. Let's hope this quiz leaves you shaken and not stirred. All right, enough of the Bond puns. So here we go, round 1, question number 1. What was the first ever James Bond book published by writer Ian Fleming? I believe the year was 1953. Ian Fleming himself was a former spy. He did work for British intelligence and was very much the archetypical English gentleman. But round 1, question 1. I'm looking for the name of the very first ever James Bond book published by writer Ian Fleming. Round 1, question 2. What was the name of Ian Fleming's home in Jamaica, which was later used to name a Bond film? So yes, Ian Fleming spent a lot of his time in Jamaica. It's no surprise that it was the setting of the very first James Bond film in 1962. But what was the name of Ian Fleming's home in Jamaica, which was used to name a later Bond film? 4 options there. It's round 1, question number 2. We always go over every question at the end, so don't worry if you think I'm going too fast. Round 1, question 3. What was the name of the James Bond short film directed by Danny Boyle for the opening ceremony of the 2012 Olympic Games? So yes, the 2012 Olympic Games, late July, early August of 2012. And the magnificent opening ceremony directed by Danny Boyle featured James Bond arriving at the palace, greeting Her Majesty the Queen, and whisking her way to the Olympic Stadium for the opening ceremony. And who could forget them all jumping off the helicopter? I'm looking for the name of the James Bond short film. What was the title of that short film called? By Danny Boyle for the opening ceremony of the 2012 Olympic Games. Round 1, question 4. How many films did Judi Dench appear as MI6 boss M? Now, this is a contentious answer in that she makes a cameo in the final film, Spectre. But I'm counting that as an appearance. So, with that in mind, and as myself as the quizmaster, how many films did Judi Dench appear as MI6 boss M? It's round 1, question 4. Please bear that in mind when you come to the final question. And yes, I am counting her cameo. Round 1, question 5. Patrick Macnee appeared as Sir Godfrey Tibbett in A View to a Kill in 1985. But what TV spy-fi show was he most famous for appearing as John Steed in the 1960s? It's a fantastic picture of Roger Moore and Patrick Macnee there. Behind the scenes shot. But Roger Moore, of course, was very famous in the 60s in his own right for appearing as the Saint in the long-running TV series. But I'm looking for the name of the TV show. what spy-fi TV show was Patrick Macnee most famous for appearing as John Steed in the 1960s? And finally, round 1, question number 6. Who composed the original James Bond theme for Dr. No? So round 1, question 6. Who composed the original James Bond theme for Dr. No? It's quite iconic. In fact, it was meant to be used for another film. The original kind of the original kind of surf guitar line was meant to be used for a film set in India, but got reused and recycled later on. But I'm looking for the name of the composer who composed the original James Bond theme, the one you see at the very opening of, and gets repeated quite a many times in the James Bond series. Okay, like I said before, this is the final question of round 1. We'll have a quick roundup of all the questions there. So I'm looking of the name of the very first ever James Bond book published by writer Ian Fleming. Number 2, what was the name of Ian Fleming's home in Jamaica that was used to name a later James Bond film? Number 3, what was the name of the short film directed by Danny Boyle for the opening ceremony of the 2012 Olympic Games featuring James Bond and Her Majesty the Queen as herself? Number 4, how many films did Dame Judi Dench appear as MI6 boss M? And like I said before, I'm including the cameo. 5, Patrick Macnee, and I've spelled Macnee wrong, but Patrick Macnee appeared as Sir Godfrey Tibbett in A View to a Kill in 1985. What TV spy-fi show was he most famous for appearing as John Steed in the 1960s? And finally, who composed the original James Bond theme for Dr. No? Couple of seconds there on that, and then we'll move on to the second round. Okay, so that is the first round done. 1 down, 7 to go. I actually got to show you a little bit of memorabilia here. This is a ticket to the opening ceremony, and it was held on the 27th of July. My parents were actually at it, and both got tickets to the opening ceremony and got to see the whole thing. Fortunately, I couldn't go. I did get, however, to go to see Super Saturday with Mo Farah and Jessica Ennis, which was, I think, just as good. Anyway, thank you very much for joining the Big Nerd Pub Quiz. Don't forget to stay in touch via all the different social media channels there. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Let me know what you think, and if you want to shout out at any point, do get in touch. Okay, so moving on to the second round, and it's all about James Bond locations. So as we know, Mr. Bond is a very, very well-travelled man. So the next 6 questions are all about real and fictitious locations in the James Bond series. So to waste no time, we're moving on to the next question, round 2, question number 1. So, which city does the opening action sequence of Spectre take place in? The city now hosts a parade because of it. Now, interesting fact behind that, yes, there's a very famous parade. Well, the crew staged a parade for James Bond to kind of infiltrate, and it was kind of like the build-up to the action sequence. You see James Bond in a costume with a mask, and apparently that parade never actually happened. But the actual producer, afterwards, the city now stage it as part of now a regular thing. But number 2, round question 1, what city does the opening action sequence of Spectre take place in? Like I said before, the city now hosts a parade there. That's the famous helicopter chase sequence. Round 2, question 2. Which area of London is the real MI6 building, as depicted in GoldenEye onwards? It was destroyed in the film Skyfall. However, that's not a real event. The MI6 building is actually there. It's bristling with security cameras, and I used to host a music night right down the river from it. I used to pass it every time when I got off the tube station near this particular building. But which area of London is the real MI6 building, as depicted in the film GoldenEye onwards? Round 2, question number 3. In the film Goldfinger, Operation Grand Slam involves irradiating the US gold supply at Fort Knox. But in which US state is Fort Knox located? I read somewhere that during the filming of this, they actually built they're built in Pinewood, the vaults, thinking, right, this is what the actual vaults in Fort Knox look like. And although they weren't allowed to have anything for reference or any sort of kind of the location for filming on the actual site itself, the people who actually do run Fort Knox said to the producers afterwards, it's pretty close. Round 2, question 3. In the film Goldfinger, the 1964 film Goldfinger, Operation Grand Slam, which was Auric Goldfinger's diabolical plan to irradiate the US gold supply at Fort Knox, but I'm looking for the state that Fort Knox is located in. Round 2, question number 4. So which country doubled as Afghanistan in the climactic sequences of the 1987 film The Living Daylights? Quite ironic, because James Bond wouldn't be allies with these people if the film was actually set now. But yes, the Mujahideen were the good guys in The Living Daylights. One of my favourite Bond movies, I have to say, and Dalton's first. But I have to say, yes, in order to defeat, the Russians. But in which country doubled as Afghanistan in the climactic sequences of the 1987 film The Living Daylights? Round 2, question 5. What is the name of the fictional location at the beginning of GoldenEye, the film and game? So round 2, question 5. The location itself is real. Whether or not there is a secret Soviet military installation at this particular place, it remains to be seen. But round 2, question 5. What is the name of the fictional location at the beginning of GoldenEye, the film and the game? So I'm looking for the name of the base. It does appear on the screen. So that's round 2, question number 5. Round 2, question 6, the final question of the location round. So, the Paranal Observatory, as featured in the film Quantum of Solace, is located in which South American country? So, round 2, question 6. Yes, this is an actual location. It's a real observatory, which they used as a film location. Quantum of Solace, not the greatest of the Craig outings. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see the latest No Time to Die because of the corona lockdown. But yes, round 2, question 6. The Paranal Observatory, as featured in the film Quantum of Solace, is located in which South American country? And there is your locations roundup. So, to go over them one more time, which city does the opening action sequence of Spectre take place in? Number 2, which area of London is the real MI6 building as depicted in GoldenEye onwards? Number 3, in the film Goldfinger, Operation Grand Slam involves irradiating the US gold supply at Fort Knox. But in which US state is Fort Knox located? 4, which country doubled as Afghanistan in the film The Living Daylights? 5, what is the name of the fictional location at the beginning of the GoldenEye film and game? And 6, the Paranal Observatory, as featured in the film Quantum of Solace, is located in which South American country? Alright, so quick bit of time to do one or two shoutouts before we move on. I know Lee is watching the James Bond quiz. He tweeted me earlier on saying he was really, really super looking forward to it, and I hope you're enjoying it. I spent ages making all these graphics, and I wanted to make it really Bond authentic. And also Rob Chapman is watching as well. He's also a big James Bond fan. I'm really happy he's tuned in as well. I hope you're enjoying the graphics and everything, and hope you find the quiz entertaining. I suppose guys like you, if you're big Bond fans, you'll find this really super easy. Anyway, a couple more shout outs. Can we do a shout out to Ross, Mark and Robin doing the James Bond quiz from Robin Duncan Dean? Thank you very much. And let's see, Gareth J. Morale says, the theme tune question reminded me that my great uncle was the drummer on the original theme tune recording. That's fantastic. That's from Gareth. What a fantastic fact. Anyway, thank you very much for tuning in. So we'll just move on to the next round. Like I said, keep all your shout outs coming in. Don't forget to like and follow all the different social medias there here on the tonight's James Bond quiz. So here we go, round 3, and it's all about Bond villains. Sure, we couldn't have a Bond quiz without Bond films and Bond nemesis. But here we go, 6 questions all about the diabolical foes that Bond has had to square up against over the years. So anyway, round 3, question number 1, and it's all about the man with the golden gun, Francisco Scaramanga. The golden gun was made up of a pen, a cigarette case, and one other everyday item. What was that item? I always thought the golden gun was such a cool prop. And although the movie is not as well received, I think Christopher Lee actually keeps it alive. In fact, you know what? I'd love to see a Bond spin-off where it's just a young Francisco Scaramanga going about the world killing people for contract. That would be amazing. I'd love to see that, because Christopher Lee owned that role. But yes, round 3, question 1, the 1974 film Scaramanga's golden gun was made up of a pen, a cigarette case, and one other everyday item. What was it? Round 3, question number 2. Which company built the Moonraker space shuttles? So round 3, question 2. Which company built the Moonraker space shuttles? At the time the Moonraker film was made, it was 78-79. It was released in 79. And there was no stock footage of the shuttles being launched. And it was up to the producers to actually use special effects to show it. Like, normally in previous movies they would have relied on old stock NASA footage. But the space shuttle was late by 2 years. And the producers had to come up with their own footage. And it's actually quite impressive, considering. But yes, the most far-out James Bond film, set up to rival Star Wars. Round 3, question 2. Which company built the Moonraker space shuttles? Round 3, question number 3. What was Agent 006's real name? He went on to portray Bond in the film GoldenEye. Yes, a lot of questions about GoldenEye tonight. Somebody was texting me yesterday. This is like, you can ask me anything about the movie GoldenEye. So I actually subconsciously peppered a lot of GoldenEye questions in here. Arguably the best Brosnan movie, but yeah. So round 3, question 3. What was Agent 006's real name? He went on to portray Bond in the film GoldenEye and had a very, very nasty death. Anyway, round 3, question number 4. Who played the henchman turned ally Jaws in The Spy Who Loved Me and Moonraker? He was so popular that I think even during the production they knew not to kill him off, and they thought, like, you know what, we'll bring him back in the next one. And he ended up turning out to be a good guy. This actor also went on to play loads of other different roles, and he was notably seen in the Adam Sandler movie Happy Gilmore. Sadly passed away a few years ago, but a fantastic and very memorable henchman. But who played Jaws in the films The Spy Who Loved Me and Moonraker? Round 3, question 5. In the film Casino Royale, what hand does Bond beat Le Chiffre in the high-stakes poker game? And I double-checked this on a poker website. This is how he wins. I played a little few hands in my time. But in the film Casino Royale, 2005, what hand does Bond beat Le Chiffre in a high-stakes poker game. Mads Mikkelsen there playing the title character, or the villain. Interestingly, Casino Royale actually was actually the first Bond adaptation to make it to screen, and actually was on a TV show in America. It had like an American playing Jimmy Bond, which was a bit odd. And I'm not talking about the really weird campy 60s movie with Woody Allen and Orson Welles and David Niven and Peter Sellers. Not that one, no. There's another one. There is a James Bond TV movie out there somewhere. Wasn't very good. Round 3, question 6, final one. And interestingly, the first Bond movie I ever saw in the cinema as a kid. But what was the name of the newspaper owned by Elliot Carver in the film Tomorrow Never Dies? Yes, Elliot Carver played by Jonathan Pryce. I saw him as Oliver, as Fagin in Oliver in the West End years and years ago. And you know what? Tomorrow Never Dies, I think massively underrated. I think it's a solid Bond flick. The opening sequence is amazing. The action's solid. The drama's it's a really good story. I think it's, diabolical Rupert Murdoch. But I'm looking for the name of the newspaper owned by Elliot Carver in the film Tomorrow Never Dies. And there's your round 3 roundup. Quickly go over those one more time again. So Scaramango's golden gun, made up of a pen, cigarette case, and which other everyday item? Number 2, which company built the Moonraker space shuttles? 3, what was Agent 006's real name? 4, who played the henchman turned ally Jaws in this film, The Spy Who Loved Me and Moonraker? 5, in the film Casino Royale, what hand does Bond beat Le Chiffre in the high-stakes poker game? 6, final one, what is the name of the newspaper owned by Elliot Carver in the film Tomorrow Never Dies? Okay, we're coming up nearly to the halfway point in the quiz. Hope you're all having fun and enjoying it. That should bring us right up till about 8:30. The quiz, like I said, only lasts an hour, and if there's football on afterwards, which I'm definitely down to watch, I'm going to pop up to watch that too. Don't forget, you can watch the quiz at any time. You can pause it and replay it at any time that you want, and all the other quizzes you can find on the website on Big Nerd Pub Quiz on YouTube. Anyway, so the next questions are all about something you are all going to be really looking super forward to, and it's going to be about Bond cars. Yes, this one's a fiendishly difficult round. Well, it starts off easy and then it gets a little bit more tricky as it goes on. But I'm going to show you 6 very famous James Bond cars which featured in the film series. All I want you to do is identify the make and model of the car. Sounds simple enough? Well, let's see if it is. For starting off round 4, question number 1. And we all should know this one here. Round 4, question number 1. The quintessential Bond car. Pops up in more movies than any other, I think. It's Goldfinger, Thunderball, Goldeneye, Skyfall. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see it in No Time to Die with its forward shooting machine guns. I'll actually show you very quickly here. Here's my little action model with the bulletproof shield and ejector seat. Whatever you do, don't press it. Anyway, here's question 2. I've lost him. I'm never getting him back. He's gone. Oh, there he is. Round 4, question 2. Name this iconic car as featured in the films The Spy Who Loved Me and For Your Eyes Only. In fact, Bond drives 2 different types of the car in For Your Eyes Only. Blows one of them up. Ends up having to escape in a Citroen 2CV. But I need the name and make of the car. It's nicknamed Wet Nelly. Again, I got another one here just to show you this. I'm showing off my little James Bond collection here. I would have had them on a little table behind me, but it's a fantastic little collectible, isn't it? I love the way I love that spring action, the way it does that. It's cool. And the big James Bond logo on the front, because, you gotta know it's Bond driving it. Anyway, round 4, question 2. We're moving on to question 3. Now, one of the most controversial moments in James Bond history. It's the most fantastically executed stunt ever. However, it's ruined by a slide whistle. And what producer signed off on that? Like, the movie isn't great. The J.W. Pepper shows up and it just makes it all weird and racist, and it's a fantastic stunt. In fact, they used early computer graphics and computer technology to figure out how the car would act in the middle of the air, and they drove it. It was a real stunt. The corkscrew, but with that slide whistle, just completely ruined it. But what was the car that completed that barrel roll, that corkscrew roll in the film? Spy Who Loved Me. Round 4, question 3. Here we go. Next one. This is actually my favorite Bond car. Round 4, question 4 is featured in the 1987 film The Living Daylights. It's got loads of really cool gadgets in it. It's got the skis on the side, forward-firing rocket launchers. It's got like a jetpack on the back of it as well, reminding me of like the Batmobile. But yeah, if I could own a Bond car, it would be this. And I think Bond, from looking at the trailer for No Time to Die, you can see him drive a car similar to this, whether it's the same one. Round 4, question 4. Round 4, question 5. Yes, Bond courted some controversy in the 90s by going German. Yes, he drove 3 BMWs. GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies as pictured, and The World Is Not Enough. So you didn't really get to see the one in GoldenEye that much. He just drives down a road. Whereas this particular BM has a lot of fun in the parking lot. It's a really fun action sequence there. And it's really, again, if you watch the DVDs, if you have any of the DVDs and watch the behind the scenes, how they made these, absolutely stunning to see how they pulled it off. It's round 4, question 5. And finally, a little bit of trivia here with this one, and probably the most difficult one of them all, but round 4, question 6. Interesting fun fact. You Only Live Twice is the only movie where you don't see James Bond drive a car. Yes, in this car. So technically, does that make this car a Bond car? Well, I'm going to say yes. I have a little model of it. It was one of the little quirky ones, and it was a special edition car built by a Japanese manufacturer for the movie. There's literally only 2 of them with a soft top. And yes, Bond famously doesn't actually drive a car in this movie. In fact, it's the only Bond film where he doesn't drive a car. I actually tried to find the hotel where that, or the, with the locations when I was in Japan. When I was in Tokyo. Round 4, question 6. Just go through them one more time. There's no roundup in this one. So round 4, question 1. Question 2. Question 3. 4. 5. And 6. Alright, thank you very much. That's the James Bond cars covered. I hope you're all enjoying the quiz. Just one thing actually to mention, if you haven't seen it already, and if it's still there, there's a movie museum in London, and they have all the Bond cars in an exhibition there, and it's absolutely fantastic. And if you're a real Bond fan like myself, you get a real glee of seeing the actual props and the full-size gadgets and everything like that. They have one of the cars, the actual stunt cars from Spectre, and loads of the other cars from the different James Bond movies. You will not be stuck for entertainment. You can spend a good an hour and a half in there, 2 hours, just looking about in intense detail at all the different cars that are there. Anyway, thanks very much for joining the Big Nerd 007 quiz. A couple of wee announcements before we move on to the next round. We're just over halfway. Like I said, the quiz ends at about 9. So a couple of wee things to mention. Check out my buddy's podcast, the Stuck in Here With You podcast. It's a lockdown podcast by my buddies Jez and Mary. It's on Apple, Podbean, and Spotify. Check out Hot Topic Nightmare, my buddy Paul who makes this. He gets all his friends to do random topics and do class presentations on them for everybody there too. Also check out the Nerd Party. It's a big collection of really cool podcasts on a wide range of topics. And if you're into something, there'll definitely be something in there for you. Also, check out Banterflex and the Fright Club. Banterflex, I had the pleasure of being on Friday night talking about my lockdown picks, and Banterflex were also great in putting on the Disney quiz and the movie quiz. Really well researched and lovely quizzes to play. You can play them again on the YouTube channel. And don't forget, Fright Club, who are hosting and presenting with written for me, the Fright Club horror quiz. That's next week. That's next Monday. Really looking forward to that one. And don't forget to check out my radio show every weekday morning on Zest FM. Support the quiz by buying merch. Yes, I'm seeing loads of people out there actually buying hoodies and t-shirts and tote bags. It's absolutely fantastic to see. I never would have thought anyone would actually ever buy these things, but yep, they turned out to be not bad little sellers. But you can buy official Big Nerd Pub t-shirts from Northern Ireland Tees. Check them out. There's tons of really cool themed t-shirts on their website as well. Use the code BIGQUIZ for discounts there as well. And like I said before, support the quiz by donating to the PayPal and the Patreon. And like I said, the best thing you can do to support the quiz is like and share it and tell your friends about it, because I know it's really good fun for me to producing these, and I've been doing them for 13-14 weeks now during the lockdown. And like I said, I'm going to keep them coming as long as you keep wanting them. So yes, thank you very much. We're moving on to the next round today. They're going to get a little trickier today, these questions, but here we go, round 5, and it's all about James Bond themes. Now pay attention, 007. You're going to have to listen really, really carefully to this. I'm going to show you a line from a particularly famous Bond song over the next 6 questions. However, there is a caveat to this. I need you to get the title and the artist singing the song. You have to mark 2 questions each on each per question, right? If you get one, you don't get any. You have to get them both right. That is the thing. That's the only condition. It's no point getting the artist and not getting the next one. Okay? Understood? Okay, we'll move on. Round 5, question number 1. So, start off with a nice easy one. I think you should all get this one. What does it matter to you when you've got a job to do? You've got to do it well. You've got to give the other fella hell. It's round 5, question 1. Remember, I'm looking for the band or the singer and the title of the track. Okay, not the movie. Sometimes the certain titles didn't lend themselves to song titles. So I'm looking for the title of the song plus the recording artist who made it, band, singer, or otherwise. That's round 5, question 1. What does it matter to you when you've got a job to do? You've got to do it well. You've got to give the other fella hell. Round 5, question number 2. Any woman he wants, he'll get. He'll break any heart without regret. Round 5, question 2. One of the earlier James Bond themes. But yes, check them out. Look at your options there. Like I said, I need both. Not just one or the other. I need both. Singer, songwriter, not singer or composer, whoever's there, and the song title. So round 5, question 2. Any woman he wants, he'll get. He'll break any heart without regret. Our third lyric tonight. Round 5, question 3. Every step of the way will find us, with the curves of the world far behind us. Yes. So one of the best ones, I think. One of the better ones. Well, number 1's amazing, I think. Let me know your favorite Bond theme. Text, tweet it to me. Let me know your favorite Bond movie, favorite Bond villain, Bond woman, Bond moment, Bond car. I want to hear them all. Round 5, question 3. So every step of the way will find us, with the curves of the world far behind us. Yes. Round 5, question 4. Dance into the fire, that fatal kiss is all we need. Dance into the fire to fatal sounds of broken dreams. It's really, really hard for me to say these and not sing them. I've been listening to them all day. It's kind of like, it's kind of to prep me up and to pump me up for tonight's quiz. But yes, dance into the fire, that fatal kiss is all we need. Dance into the fire to fatal sounds of broken dreams. That's round 5, question 4. Round 5, question 5. Probably the worst Bond theme ever, if that gives you a clue. But Sigmund Freud analysed this. It's the 5th one tonight. Again, overall, a very disappointing Bond film. And I remember seeing it in the cinema. I was looking very much looking forward to it. But didn't live up to expectations like I thought. But round 5, question 5. Sigmund Freud analysed this. And your final one here, round 5, question 6. All I wanted was a sweet distraction for an hour or two. Had no intention to do the things we've done. It's round 5, question 6. One of the more trickier ones. I'll give you a clue. This one popped up in the movie Ted, believe it or not. Mark Wahlberg sings it in the movie Ted. But yes, round 5, question 6. All I wanted was a sweet distraction for an hour or two. Had no intention to do the things we've done. And here is your roundup of questions there. Of song lyrics. Like I said, remember, I'm looking for the artist, recording artist, and the title. You need to get both points. 12 points up for grabs in this one. It's all or nothing. So, what does it matter to you when you've got a job to do? You've got to do it well, you've got to give the other fellow hell. Number 2, any woman he wants he'll get, he'll break any heart without regret. 3, every step of the way he'll find us with the cares of the world far behind us, yes. 4, dance into the fire, that fatal kiss is all we need. Dance into the fire, fatal sounds of broken dreams. 5, Sigmund Freud analysed this. And 6, all I wanted was a straight distraction for an hour or two. I had no intention to do the things we've done. I've got to put it out there. I have to say, one of the most underrated ones, I would say, would be License to Kill, the Gladys Knight. It's an epic track. My mum, big Gladys Knight fan, so I remember we had it on cassette when growing up. But that is a thundering Bond theme. One of my probably top 5 easily. Anyway, so moving on to the next round tonight. And this, I would have to say, is probably one of the most fiendishly difficult rounds of the entire quiz. Are you ready for it? Here we go. Round 6 is all about our CIA agent extraordinaire, Felix Leiter. Okay, so as you know, Felix Leiter has been played by a multitude of different actors. Originally, it was meant to be played by one, but then the actor actually fell out with the production team and said he wanted top billing throughout the entire series, along with Sean Connery. So from then on, the producers were like, screw it, we'll just recast the character. So in a way, the character of Felix Leiter never really got cemented in the popular subconscious, not unlike, say, M or Q or Moneypenny. So as for in terms of Bond allies, is one that's never really got this, that kind of iconic status, but has appeared in many films, in many different guises. I'm going to show you 6. All you have to do is match the Felix Leiter to the particular film which is portrayed. Okay? So here we go. You've got all your different Felix Leiters there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So match them to each of the movies that they're depicted in. Okay, simple enough. I'll leave this up for a couple of minutes, let you guys work it out. So the name of the actors there, actually I'll give you the actors which are depicted. David Hedison. We've got Rick Van Nutter, fantastic name. Sek Linder. Jeffrey Wright, he's arguably the most recognizable out of them all. John Terry, not the footballer. And Jack Lord. Can you identify the movies in which these Felix Leiter, plural, these Felix Leiters, appear in? So David Hedison famously actually appeared in 2. Jeffrey Wright actually appeared in 3. But yes, it's one of those characters that keeps popping up, but never really, gives a little bit of exposition. Something for the American audiences to kind of watch and go, it's the CIA guy there too. He helps him out. But yes, like I said, the original actor who was going to play Felix, just he wanted to be put up on the top bill with Sean Connery, but like I said, fell out with the producers. Cobby Broccoli. And Saltzman. Well, yes, the founders of the Bond films. Like I said, we've kept it all Eon Productions. But yes, link the Felix lighters to their particular films. So to name the actors once more: David Hedison, Rick Van Nutter, Sek Linder, Jeffrey Wright, John Terry, not the footballer, and Jack Lord. Yeah, this is arguably the most trickiest round. The final round isn't as bad, so if you drop points on this... So yes, if you think number 1 is Thunderball, put number 1 as Thunderball. If you think number 2 is Goldfinger, put it at number 2. That's how you answer this one. So identify, match the Felix lighter to the movie. I'm going to leave that up for 15 more seconds, and then we're going to move on to the final 2 rounds of tonight. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next round. So Felix lighters, I thought that was a little bit of a tricky one, but I wanted to challenge you Bond fans out there. Maybe if you don't even recognize the actors, you probably link them from seeing the scene from behind them. Anyway, so that was round number 6. Moving on to the penultimate round tonight, round number 7, and it's all about, we've had Bond villains, we've had Bond allies, we've had Bond cars, we've had Bond locations, but what are we missing? Yes, it's the Bond leading ladies. Round 7's all about Bond women. And yes, it's one of those things that's been noted that they have they've stopped using the term Bond girl, which many feel is derogatory, and I would agree with that. I would say these are Bond actresses or Bond women or Bond leading ladies, and yes, many of them have gone on and really owned scenes in their own right in these movies. And yes, for all intents and purposes, we know, I think, from the movies, from the next one, 007 will be played by a woman, because Bond has retired and his number's been transferred over. So, be interested to see that. I don't know whether it's a massive spoiler. I thought that was pretty evident from the trailer. Anyway, there was another spoiler released by The Guardian. Not going to say that. I'm very angry at The Guardian for that. And Lee knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, round 7, question number 1. So, which actress played a Bond leading lady twice in The Man with the Golden Gun and Octopussy? Played obviously not the same character, but 2 different characters. But which actress played a Bond leading lady twice in The Man with the Golden Gun, 1974, and Octopussy in 1983? So it's round 7, question 1. Interestingly, Octopussy actually went up against Never Say Never Again, which was an unofficial film starring Sean Connery and was written by the guys who had written Kevin McClory, who had written Thunderball and written the screenplay of Thunderball and had the rights to it. So basically, essentially, he remade Thunderball, and it came out the same year as Octopussy, funnily enough. Anyways, round 7, question 2. Which Bond actress married Beatles drummer Ringo Starr? I think that should be an easy one. She appeared in Spy Who Loved Me. There we are. Round 7, question 2. But which Bond actress married Beatles drummer Ringo Starr? And they're still together. Anyway, round 7, question 2. Round 7, question 3. Very famous scene. It's the very first scene we see James Bond He's smoking, he's gambling, he's drinking, but he's also chatting up a lady. But who's the first woman we see James Bond interact with in the film Dr. No? And like extremely forward of her, like breaks into his home. She was meant to be established as a kind of recurring character, as you saw her in the opening scenes of From Russia With Love, but never actually reappeared afterwards. She was meant to be a recurring love interest for Bond at home. But yes, who is the first woman we see James Bond interact with in the film Dr. No? And I said I was trying to find a word to substitute, gets into bed with. Yeah, he technically is the first woman he interacts with on a verbal level anyway. So round 7, question 3. I'm looking for the name of the character, not the actress. Round 7, question number 4. And this is an interesting one because I always find this fascinating. But which Bond actress was romantically linked with US Secretary of State Henry Kissinger and appeared in the film Diamonds Are Forever? She's the leading sidekick in that particular movie. But yes, it was one of those things. I found out that she was actually she dated Henry Kissinger, the US Secretary of State, Richard Nixon's right-hand man. So there you are, round 7, question 4. Which Bond actress was romantically linked with US Secretary of State Henry Kissinger and appeared in the film Diamonds Are Forever? I had that poster in my room for ages. Great film. I know it's probably one of the cheesiest ones, but I am a big fan of it. Round 7, question 5. James Bond famously gets married in the film and on Her Majesty's Secret Service, but what is the name of his ill-fated bride? I have to put it out there that On Her Majesty's Secret Service is my favourite Bond film. I've had the pleasure of meeting George Lazenby at a convention about a year or two ago, and he signed for me. I don't have it with me; it's in my flat in London. But he signed for me a gatefold album of Majesty's Secret Service, the soundtrack. And if you open it up, it's got this great picture, full spread picture of Lazenby in his ski gear and his gun. I got him to sign it. It's one of my treasured possessions. Because again, fantastic film. I think he would have made a fantastic Bond had he stayed on. And it's Chris Nolan's favourite Bond movie. So I'm in good company there. And a lot of fans rate it highly. One of the best. Bond famously gets married. What was the name of his ill-fated bride? Again, played by Diana Rigg. And she was in that TV show. She was also in that TV show as Emma Peel with Patrick Macnee that I mentioned earlier on. So a lovely little bit of crossover there. And the final Bond leading ladies question. Round 7, question 6. What is the name of Halle Berry's CIA agent character in the film Die Another Day? She replicates the Honey Rider walkout of the sea in the Cuba scene there. Round 7, question 6. I'm looking for the name of the CIA agent character in the film Die Another Day. It's round 7, question 6. And there's your Bond leading ladies round up there. So which actress played Bond leading lady twice in The Man with the Golden Gun and Octopussy? Number 2, which actress married Beatles drummer Ringo Starr? 3, who is the first woman we see James Bond interact with in the film Dr. No? 4, which Bond actress was romantically linked with US Secretary of State Henry Kissinger and appeared in the film Diamonds Are Forever? 5, Bond famously gets married in the film On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I'm looking for the name of his ill-fated bride. And 6, what was the name of Halle Berry's CIA character in the film Die Another Day? There's a great YouTuber I follow who does Bond reviews, and he does a lot of things. He talks about theories about Bond movies, and one of them I do agree with is that kind of weird one that James Bond is kind of like Doctor Who in the sense that the name is like a code name, and anytime Bond dies, or it's transferred onto another one. But that's rubbished in the series because you notice certain things like Roger Moore visits the grave of his former wife, of his past wife. So he is technically the same character as George Lazenby. So yes, that it's just absolutely rubbish. So it's a good theory, but doesn't hold much water when you really examine the series. Anyway, final round tonight, and it's all going to be about James Bond one-liners. Yes, famous one-liners with James Bond is very well known for throughout the series. But all you have to do is going to give you the one-liner from the film, and you have to guess the movie which it's from. It's very, very simple. And if you've lost points throughout the quiz, you'll definitely pick up some here tonight in this final one. Like I said, at the very end of the quiz, at the very end of the last question, you will get your scores immediately. But do stick about, because I'll be reading out the answers at the very end of the quiz. I'll try not to do the accents, though. When it comes to Sean Connery, I can't promise anything. And here's the first one. Round 8, question 1. Shocking. See, I've done it. Positively shocking. Round 8, question 1. Probably the worst Bond impression I've ever done. But yes, round 8, question 1. Not the worst Bond, probably the best Bond Sean Connery is. But round 8, question 1. Shocking. Positively shocking. Round 8, question 2. One of the famous ones. What movie is it from? I think you got the point. Not a fan of this one. I find it very slow. Round 8, question 2. And I try to live up to the success of the previous movie. I'm not going to say what it is. But yes, round 8, question 2. I think you got the point. I think you'll all definitely get this one. I should have thought this one through a little bit more, but round 8, question 3. This never happened to the other fella. And it was kind of like an aside from George Lazenby there in his particular movie. But round 8, question 3. This never happened to the other fella. That's a free point, I think. If you missed that one, that's an open goal. Round 8, question 3. Round 8, question 4. Oh, Moneypenny. I'm just up here in Oxford, brushing up on a little Danish. Yes, James, you really are a cunning linguist. That was the comeback. Samantha Bond with her version of Moneypenny there. But round 8, question 4. Oh, Moneypenny. Oh, I'm just up here at Oxford, brushing up on a little Danish. Round 8, question 4. And another Brosnan one. Round 8, question 5. I thought Christmas only comes once a year. Final lines of which Brosnan movie? Round 8, question 5. Pierce Brosnan, the only Irish Bond, born in Navan. And like I said before, just before I show you the last one, you'll get your scores immediately once you hit submit, but stick about for the answers. And your final one tonight, round 8, question 6. Final question of the Bond quiz tonight. Why is it that people who can't take advice always insist on giving it? So what film does this quote appear in? Round 8, question 6. And there's your roundup of questions there. Shocking, positively shocking. I think you got the point. This never happened to the other fella. I'm up here in Oxford, brushing up in a little Danish. I thought Christmas only comes once a year, and why is it that people who can't take advice always insist on giving it? And that's it. That's it for the James Bond quiz tonight. I hope you've all enjoyed it. And yes, stick about for the answers at the very end. Here's just what's a little taste of what's coming up this week. We've got the Big Nerd 2000s quiz on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. I spent ages making this. I had a lot of fun making it, but I spent ages doing it. Like I said, it's all things 2000s. From everything from the rise of social media, Nokia 3310s, the Euro, we have Obama there, Napoleon Dynamite. Even I've snuck Bond in there too. Amy Winehouse, all the cool things. So from that decade that we all remember so well, so recently. It's hard to believe that that's 20 years ago now. But yes, the Big Nerd 2000 quiz coming up this Wednesday. Don't forget, if you've got young ones in the house, do get them this quiz tomorrow. It's a bit of crack. It's every Tuesday between 2 and 3. That's the Big Nerd Kids quiz. And on Saturdays, the General Knowledge quiz. And we've got the horror quiz coming up next week as well. That's on the 29th. And the Pokemon one, we should stick in on the 1st. I'm going to confirm that date, but I'm going to put it up. The Pokemon quiz will be on the 1st. and the rest of them won probably about a week after, so do stick about for that. Alright, thanks for waiting and being patient. Here's your answers for tonight's James Bond quiz. Hope you've all enjoyed it. So here we go, round 1 answers. So, Casino Royale was the very first James Bond book published. GoldenEye was the name of Ian Fleming's home. 3. Happy and Glorious was the name of the short film that James Bond meets the Queen. 8 appearances. I am counting the final Spectre appearance, including the Spectre cameo. So she has appeared in GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, The World Is Not Enough, Die Another Day, Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, and Spectre. The Avengers, not the comic book guys. The Avengers with John Peel was the show with Patrick Macnee. And Monty Norman, not Barry Gray. Monty Norman was the composer of the James Bond theme. Barry Gray was the arranger. In fact, Monty Norman sued the Times for saying that Barry Gray actually composed it. And he was actually proven right. It was Monty Norman, not Barry Gray. Although Barry Gray did the themes for nearly every other Bond movie. Russia with Love, Goldfinger, all the way up until like... Diamonds Live. He did Diamonds Forever. Didn't do Live and Let Die. George Martin did that one. But yes, did a ton of them. The last one he did was The Living Daylights. Anyway, round 2 answers. So your locations. Spectre opens in Mexico City. This MI6 building is in Vauxhall. Kentucky is the location of Fort Knox. Morocco doubled for Afghanistan. And Archangels was the location of the Soviet base, and Chile is the location of that observatory. Round 3, your villains answers. The Golden Gun is made up of a cigarette case, a lighter, and a cufflink, which is the trigger. Drax Industries built the space shuttles, the Moonraker shuttles. Alec Trevelyan is 006. Richard Kiel played Jaws, and Bond beats Le Chiffre with a straight flush. He's got a full house and he beats him with a straight flush. And Elliot Carver's newspaper is known as Tomorrow in English or Morgen in German. So the cars, you definitely got the DB5 there. How could you not? And the Lotus Esprit, the harder ones. AMC Hornet X was the car that did the spinny corkscrew roll. The Aston Martin Volante was the car in The Living Daylights. The BMW 750i, the one in Tomorrow Never Dies. And the Toyota 2000 GT, the only car that Bond doesn't actually drive out of all of those. So your themes, and like I said before, you had to get both to get the 2 points. Wings, Live and Let Die. Tom Jones with Thunderball. Louis Armstrong, All the Time in the World. 4, Duran Duran, A View to a Kill. 5, Madonna, Die Another Day, terrible song. Number 6, Rita Coolidge, All Time High from the film Octopussy. So the Felix Leiter round. So we had License to Kill, which let's see. So I'll give you the actors. David Hedison was in License to Kill. Thunderball was the second one there with Rick Van Nutter. 3, Goldfinger with Sek Linder. Jeffrey Wright, the most famous one out of the 4 in Casino Royale. The Living Daylights was John Terry, not the footballer. And number 6, Dr. No, the very first Felix Leiter, Jack Lord, who has said famously wanted double billing. Our Bond leading ladies questions. Maud Adams appeared in Octopussy and The Man with the Golden Gun. Barbara Bach married Ringo Starr. Sylvia Trench was the name of the character, was meant to be Bond's recurring girlfriend, and you first see her break into his house. He's not very much of a super spy if some random woman could do that. Well, maybe she was a spy, maybe that was going to be developed. Jill St. John in Diamonds of Forever, linked to Henry Kissinger. Teresa Tracy DiVincenzo was Bond's wife, and Jinx was the name of Halle Berry's character in Die Another Day. And their final, your one-liners from Bond, shocking, was Goldfinger. I think he got the point, was Thunderball. This never happened to the other fella, was obviously Majesty's Secret Service. Tomorrow Never Dies, brushing up in the Little Danish. Christmas comes once a year, World Is Not Enough. And the final one was Casino Royale. There we go. It's 3 minutes past 9. It's just brought us up for a full hour on the James Bond 007 quiz. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, and I hope you all really enjoyed this James Bond quiz. Like I said, I'm a huge Bond fan. Got a great kick out of writing that all last night, and like I said, it just flowed. Once I got the round structure down, I was like, right, I've got this. Yes, I'll continue to do the quizzes, like I said before, and I might even do more, because it's one of those quizzes I could have written another quiz based on Bond. itself. So if you want it, if you want any other quizzes, if you have any other ideas for quizzes, do let me know in the comments, and get in touch via Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the little bell button for any updates, and thank you for all your support over Patreon and PayPal. I have to say, I really appreciate that. It really means a lot for me to do these quizzes for everybody, and yeah, it's been great fun. Like I said, I'm off to watch some football. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and stay safe. Next quiz this Wednesday, 24th of June. There's all the links. Stay in touch. And like I said, have a great rest of your evening and rest of your week. I've been Mark Hughes, Agent 008, signing off.